Imagine the scene. Elon Musk appears on stage with that enigmatic smile of his, says a few words, and that's it. The whole world turns its eyes to a new promise that seems to have come straight out of a science fiction movie. This time, he talked about a sodium battery that not only charges in 5 minutes, but would also be able to deliver up to 100 times more energy than current ones. 100 times. It's the kind of announcement that makes even engineers scratch their heads. And, of course, the internet went crazy. Headlines popped up like hot popcorn, promising the end of slow chargers and the arrival of a new era in electric cars. But is that really true? What few people realize right away is that behind this type of statement lies an avalanche of technical nuances. The so-called miracle battery is made from sodium. That's right, the same element you find in table salt. But before you think that they're going to put rock salt in the hood of your car, it's important to understand that we're talking about a complex chemical structure that has been under development for years and is still far from being fully mastered. Sodium has clear advantages, such as abundance and cost, but transforming it into a functional and safe battery is another story. What really caught people by surprise was the boldness of the charging time. 5 minutes. This changes everything. Because more than autonomy, what the public wants is convenience. No one wants to be stuck at a charging station for half an hour. If it is true that this battery can hold a decent charge in just 5 minutes, it is not only a game changer, it is a rule changer. Imagine charging your car faster than filling up the gas tank. This messes with the minds of those who are still hesitant about switching to an electric car. But like any good magic trick, the secret lies behind the scenes. The promise of a 5-minute charge opens up a flood of technical questions. How much of the battery is actually charged in that time? Are we talking about 100%, 80%, or is it just an initial fraction and the rest continues at the traditional pace? And what about the infrastructure? Current charging stations are not even prepared to handle this type of intense and sudden energy demand. The technology may be in a lab, but that doesn't mean the world is ready for it on the streets. Another detail that deserves attention is that Elon Musk, despite being the face of innovation, knows how to play with words. He himself has already admitted that Tesla's current darling, the 4680 cell, is not the best technology available. This raises an eyebrow. If even the 4680 is being treated as a transition, what can we say about a battery that is still being tested in bench prototypes? So yes, the idea of charging in 5 minutes is seductive, but it is still closer to a technological hope than to a product ready for the market. At this point, many people are already wondering, what really defines a good battery? The answer may seem simple, but it lies in a concept called specific energy, measured in watt-hours per kilogram. In other words, it's how much energy a battery can store for each kilogram of weight. It sounds technical, but it changes everything. If the battery has too much energy but weighs like a piano, the car loses autonomy due to its own weight. If it is light but does not store enough energy, the vehicle will not go as far. The ideal balance between capacity and lightness is the true gold of the electric industry. Today, the best commercial batteries, such as lithium-ion batteries, reach between 200 and 300 Wh/kg. This is the type of cell that powers most electric vehicles on the road. They are efficient and relatively stable, but they still leave a lot to be desired when it comes to cost and access to raw materials. Therefore, any advance that significantly increases this number or offers something cheaper with similar performance ends up making headlines around the world. And that's where sodium starts to make waves. But the numbers for sodium aren't that impressive yet. At least, not yet. Early versions of sodium batteries barely exceeded 130 Wh/kg, which made them useful only for stationary storage, such as home solar batteries, but not for cars. However, with developments in recent years, this scenario has begun to change. In 2025, promises were made that the 200 Wh/kg barrier will be broken before the end of the year, which would bring sodium dangerously close to reaching the efficiency of lithium iron phosphate, LFP, batteries, which are already used in many Tesla and BYD models. The difference here is in the evolution curve. Lithium is approaching the ceiling of its theoretical performance. As for sodium, as a technology that has been less commercially explored so far, it still has a huge field of growth. And it's not just a question of energy density. Sodium has proven to be more resistant to extreme temperatures and less prone to explosions in the event of an accident or overload. This may seem small, but in terms of safety and long-term maintenance, it makes a huge difference. And you know that story about charging in 5 minutes? This directly clashes with specific energy. The more energy you try to store in less time, the greater the chance of overheating. So even if a cell can quickly charge a fraction of the battery, it will hardly be able to do so with the entire volume of energy needed to move a car for hundreds of kilometers. In other words, the 5-minute magic may work for partial emergency charges, but it is still far from replacing a full charge in a safe and repeatable way. Even so, it is impossible to ignore that the mere fact that sodium batteries are approaching 175 Wh/kg is already a game changer. This level already allows us to think about real applications in urban models, for example, where the average autonomy is around 300 kilometers. It is a more affordable alternative for emerging markets, where the cost of the battery still represents the biggest obstacle to the popularization of electric cars. And between us, Musk knows this. He is not just targeting first-world consumers. He wants to dominate the entire planet. And sodium is a great ally in this plan. When CATL, the world's largest battery maker, officially announced its new sodium cell in April 2025, the industry held its breath. This wasn't just another lab prototype or an experiment hidden away in some obscure research facility. This was a real battery with concrete specifications, ready to hit the market. Dubbed Naxtra, the cell promised 175 Wh/kg of energy density, over 10,000 recharge cycles, and impressive thermal resistance, operating even at temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius. Suddenly, what had seemed like just talk on stage at Musk presentations was now a product that was making its way onto the production line. And the most curious thing is that CATL didn't make a fuss. There was no light show, nor Elon Musk dancing on stage like at the Cybertruck presentation. The company released the data with the coolness of someone who knows they've just played a powerful card on the table. The Naxtra cell wasn't created to compete with ultra-high-performance batteries, but rather to dominate the space where cost, durability, and robustness are more important than pure performance.